Hello students, Zebulon here. As you may know if you watched the previous part of this video about the Zebulon train depot, then perhaps you already know that I lost a significant amount of videotape, and most of what I lost involved painting in the depot. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit. I still have a lot of details yet to do on this building, but I wanted to give you some idea how to get your painting, if you're following along with me, how to get your painting to this point. It is very important, I think, that you learn how to use brushes to your best advantage. Having the right brush and using it the right way is perhaps half the battle in applying the paint and doing so in a reasonable fashion. Now, when I started on this building, I realized from looking at the photograph, and I hope that's not going to be too much reflection, but I realized that this building, mainly because it's old, has a lot of variations in the color because, as I said, it's old. But notice that the wood is going vertical in this area, but it's going horizontally in this direction. So it's good to learn how to see these things when you're working on your painting, especially if you're working from a photograph. And as I've mentioned before, I see no problem with working from a photograph. Now, in this area of the building, we have more horizontal lines, and the roof is fairly horizontal, and it has roofing shingles, and they would have little individual shingles, which I'm not going to worry about in this painting. Note that these boards are all vertical, and note that they're darker under here because the sun or the light is coming from this direction. So you'll want to pay attention when you're putting your boards in to vary the color underneath them. There is a little place here that sort of juts out. That might have been where the ticket taker was. I have no idea. But getting that to look as if it's standing out is going to be a matter of paying very close attention to the shadows and the highlights. And as I said, I still have a lot of details in here. And notice that there is a variation in the shades in this shadow here. There is a board right in here that's dark, but it's slightly lighter than what's underneath, which is actually underneath the building itself. Pay attention to that. In my first painting of this, I had a step that went all the way across because I thought that's what it did. But when I got a look at it up very close, which I did on my computer, I enlarged it, I realized that it is, in fact, 2 sets of stairs. So this bush in the middle actually sets back and divides the steps up. So I had to make allowances for that. Not finished with the little tree there. And one way to achieve all of these parallel strokes, whether you're going vertically or horizontally, is to use the right brush. Now, this brush is a very small, and what number is it? Well, I can't really see. That might be a 1, but it's very small. It is a flat bristle brush. Now, if you apply your paint with the right brush, then you get all of these vertical lines parallel like you want them. And what happens when you use the right brush is when I began up here, for example, I had a darker blue, and by the time I got down here, I had run out of that paint. Now, the next time I came back, I could start from the bottom up with another color. And you'll notice I have a lot of different colors in here. My best recollection of this building is that it was kind of a gray-blue, so I'm going with that in my painting. But notice I have a variety of blues and a little bit of brown in here to indicate age. And the same is true up here and even on the roof. But you have to make some quality decisions as you go along, because I don't want this to be exactly the same color as this, because then there won't be enough contrast to make the building interesting, although it's interesting enough in and of itself. But this is certainly an example of how looking closely at your subject is important in putting down the right information. The chimney, I have realized, is maybe not quite wide enough, so I'm going to do some work on that. I'm leaving out the buildings that are, this is a house, I think, back here, and some kind of a screen porch, but I'm leaving that out. I'm going to have more tree trunks and more limbs in here, and I'm going to blue my sky just a tad more as I finish this area. And I'll put probably 2 or 3 more layers of color in my ground, because as far as I can tell from this photograph, make sure I've got that straight so it doesn't get a reflection. But at any rate, there is dirt here. And this may have been where the tracks once ran through Zebulon, Georgia. But I can't tell that. The tracks are not there, I do know that much. So pretty good indication that trains don't stop here anymore. So I've done the trees. I have those in previous videos that I was able to save. I still have a little bit of work to do on those. I have to work on this area. And then, of course, I have to bring my weeds up around the building. And so that's where I've been and where I'm going. And if you use the right brush, if you mix your colors somewhat on your palette, but then allow them to mix as you apply them, but don't over blend. Over blending is kind of a no-no, but learning how much to blend and how much to leave separate is something you just have to work on. I work with students one-on-one to show exactly how to decide how much blending is enough and how much is too much. So I have more work to do on these doors, and I will put the plaque up here that has Zebulon on it. I will draw that in. And then when I'm finished with the entire painting, when it has dried completely, I will put a varnish over it and just make everything sparkle. So lots of details left to do, but I hope you'll understand from what I'm telling you where I'm going. But I am going to be finishing up the building in this session. And I will speed the film up so that you won't have to be bored by it all. Okay, well, happy painting, and thanks for watching. Thanks for being with me. If you have questions, please write them below in the comments. And also, please like and share with your friends and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.